You and I, we've talked about the glass ceiling.
Yes.
We've talked about imposter syndrome. Do you believe in that? I mean, let's talk.
Okay.
Let's talk about that because,
Yeah.
I never grew up thinking or even knowing about whatever this glass ceiling is. And it wasn't until I was in the Army painting the first sergeant's office where someone brought up the glass ceiling. I'm like, what are you talking about? So none of those things have ever really been in my universe, only because I think if they were, all it would do is slow me down.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I feel like, who we are in our stories and how we grew up and like how we envision ourselves and envision the world really have a big impact on what that is. And I would even say, I'd even back up and say, I think there's a big difference between imposter syndrome and like a learning curve that we might have to like swing and go through when we're doing something new. And I personally think that sometimes people mix up the two. Like we're not necessarily in imposter syndrome when we've taken on a new role that we've never done before and we have to figure it out. And some people freak out and we're like, I have imposter syndrome because I don't know what to do. I'm like, you don't have imposter syndrome. You've never done it before.
Right.
You don't know what you're doing. You have to learn it, right? Which I think is very different, right?
Yeah.
But I'm afraid I'm probably more like you, Gina. Like I just don't have that kind of fear factor, or I just don't think about it. And I guess I default to action. I just like to do and then see. But I also really like to learn. For me, like learning is a big driver. So it's like, I actually thrive when I dive into something that I've never done before and I just do it. And I think you're the same way.
Yeah. But I put myself in a position where whatever is going on over here doesn't apply to me. Because I'm going to do it my way, how I want to do it. I'm going to be successful doing it. So all of these things saying that I can't do it, that doesn't apply to me.
Yeah.
And I think that is what I don't get slowed down because I don't invite that to be part of my life. I don't have to create a strategy to get around all that because it doesn't apply to me.
Yeah. I almost feel like I'm really trying to think about this, like what has gone down since like from now. But I almost feel like I haven't even thought about it. Like I haven't even given it, like I'm literally just like, what do I want to do? And then I go do it. And that's it, and then I kind of look for like, how do I do it? So I'm not really even paying attention to, what people might or might not be saying around what you can or can't do. That doesn't mean it's not there, right? Because there's always things that are in our heads that we don't always have access to all the time, that might be driving us. So, there's for certainly that. But I don't know. I feel like I'm just like so focused on this thing that I want to do that it's like, how do I just get there? You know?
Right. So, but there are stories that we have in our head. And like, for example, the first time I ever did public speaking when I was in the Army, awful, terrible.
Which is so hard to imagine.
Panic
like,
attack.
I can't even believe it.
It was awful. And in my mind, I told myself that people don't want to hear what I have to say. That was the story that I would tell myself every time I had to go up and do public speaking.
So you were tripping yourself before you even got there.
Exactly. But I think, those stories, I want to talk to you because you are the expert. How do we adjust those stories in our head? Because for me, I went through my entire FBI career avoiding public speaking, and it wasn't until I retired that I started to do it. And have I mastered it? I don't know. Probably not. However, I had to get over the stories.
You're a long way from where you were.
Exactly. The stories that I had told myself. So tell us what is the deal with these stories that we keep telling ourselves and how does it help us and how does it hurt us?
So what's interesting about this idea is that many times I don't even think we're aware of this, of that there's even a story. So I think where it actually starts is that we're getting we're doing something or we're getting results that we don't like. And we're thinking, how can I get this to be different? Like, how can I get to the point where my boss will listen to me? And I really want him to take my ideas seriously. And so I keep working on my ideas. And I keep thinking, like, if I just had a better idea. But in the meantime, there's maybe a story that's getting in the way of you and your behavior and your results. So what I always kind of tell people is don't get stuck on the results. Let's kind of like go downstream and look at what are potentially some stories that are kind of in your head, like you were just describing,
right,
that are getting in the way of and kind of driving your behavior.
Right.
And that behavior is then getting you these results that you're not happy with, right?
Right.
I'm telling you right now, it's really hard work to both be aware of those stories. Mm-hmm. And then once you've conquered that, which is hard, it's possible, then what you want to do is you want to change those stories. You want to change what those stories are and kind of create a new narrative. Mm-hmm. And then you kind of really have to go with that narrative, you know what I mean? And try it out, maybe with a persona, right? You don't have to like, oh, am I believing like a story that's not true? No, try out something, right? See where that behavior and the results lead to, and then maybe do some experimenting, tweaking, right? But kind of creating that, understanding what that story is and creating a new narrative, it's not easy, but it really gets to the root of the issue.